Ladies and gentlemen, welcome along to Betfair's preview of the round of NRL action. I'm Mathew Thompson. Tim Gilbert's back. It must be the coldest day in history today. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a bit Piccadilly, and as you can see, we've sort of moved away from the duck pond, and that's to keep ourselves warm in some sort of way. But yeah, it's chilly.
To avoid the duck pond breeze. Now, we'll start with all the action on Friday night. We've got the Warriors hosting a Friday night game, Timmy, against the Knights. The Warriors at the moment, $2.06. The Knights, $1.71. How do you see this one panning out, given that Newcastle were a bit disappointing last week?
Yeah, hard to find the Warriors, though, isn't it? They're very unpredictable. They're winning, they're losing, they're winning. I still like the Knights. I think they've got a strong football team. In the main, their form's been pretty consistent this year, and despite being over there, the Knights for me.
Yeah, Knights for me as well. I can't see them playing so poorly 2 games in a row. Now, this second game mightn't even go ahead, as if we read between the lines. Everyone's got the swine flu. Brisbane versus the Bulldogs. The Broncos are $1.80 at the moment. The Bulldogs are $1.95, but I'd suggest you keep your powder dry.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's obviously that contingency, but we can only go on the football game. And look, the Broncos at home to the Dogs. The Broncos absolutely whopped by Melbourne last week.
What happened last week, Timmy?
Yeah, oh, well, they just they didn't have Lockyer, they didn't have Hodges, and they didn't have any form on the board, and Melbourne just came out there and thrashed them. I don't know about this one. I have to say, I think the Broncos can bounce back. They've had some dramas, though, haven't they, with Joel Clinton and other things. I think they can bounce back at home. They need to bounce back at home. So I'd say them in a narrow one.
Right, Bulldogs in a narrow one for mine. I'm going to go for the away team there. Let's hope they get on the field. Now at Gosford, the Roosters take another home game to beautiful Blue Tongue Stadium. They're playing the Titans. The Titans outstanding on Monday night. $1.66 favourites. The Roosters $2.30. And I think the Titans will win pretty comfortably again, despite the road factor.
Yeah, I don't know about comfortably. I thought the Roosters were pretty good against the Seagulls last week, and that scoreline didn't really indicate how close they were to Manly, and Manly sort of ran away with it. But I think the Titans will get there because they're in good form, and they've travelled well earlier this year, haven't they? They had a couple of moments on the road where they've been pedestrian, but yeah, the Gold Coast will get the dough, but not by many, in my opinion.
Yep, Gold Coast are mine too there. Now, this is a good game of footy. The Panthers against the Sea Eagles. Penrith $1.95 at home. Outsiders to the Sea Eagles $1.84. Those prices will get a bit better as the game draws closer, but the big important key here is that Luke Lewis won't play for Penrith, and I think Michael Jennings might be out as well, so they're 2 strike players unavailable.
Yeah, the broken toe for Luke Lewis, and whether or not he was going to be picked for Origin 2 with Gallen and Glenn Stewart coming back into the frame, he's still got to be a question mark. Yeah, they do weaken the side, but I still believe the momentum and the self-belief in this Penrith side is good enough to get them home. They're playing in the big Pink Panther outfits this week for breast cancer, and the following day they'll shave all those beards off. But I just think Penrith, they're just playing with such momentum. You've got a guy like Petro. And what about Luke Walsh? He's come into that football team, re-signed or signed for 2 years. I think Penrith will get Manly.
Yeah, well, it pains me to say it because I'm a Westie by heart, but I think Manly might be too good for Penrith here without those guys out. Are you going to wear pink across the weekend, mate, exclusively, are you? Or?
Yeah, for sure. Thankfully, it's only your opinion, though, on that game of football. I do think Penrith will win.
All right.
Pink exclusively. Pink does come up well on me.
Matches your skin tones. The Storm versus the Rabbitohs here. Melbourne $1.26. They were brilliant last week. Outstanding. The Rabbitohs $3.15. And I reckon Melbourne will touch them up again.
Yeah, what's wrong with the Rabbitohs? They've played well earlier in the season, and they sort of scratched their way to a draw with Parramatta a few weeks ago than last week. Abysmal. I think the Melbourne Storm, and the Melbourne Storm probably by how much?
Yep. By 24.
Maybe not that many, but yeah, they'll win.
Just toss that up there. Raiders versus the Sharks here. Interesting game, this one. The Raiders are $1.50 at home. The Sharks $2.60 in early trading with Betfair at the moment. So the early money has come for Canberra with the home ground factor, but the Sharks, they've uncovered a surprise packet there in Scotty Porter at halfback. He's guided them to 2 wins in a row now.
Yeah, tipped them last week. Can't tip them this week. I think the Raiders are actually running into their form a bit. I think they'll beat the Sharks.
I'll go with the Raiders there as well. But I think it might be a close one. And it's good to see the Sharks have a couple of wins anyway on another tumultuous week for them off the field. All right, the Dragons versus the Cowboys. Always a great clash here. The Dragons $1.83. The Cowboys $1.95 at the moment. Again, I think the betting will get a bit better. And I think the Dragons have every right to be slightly disappointed by their effort on Monday night. They were flat for the first half, but rattled back late, just a bit too late as it turned out.
They'll find the Cows hard. I know it's at Wollongong, Wynn Stadium in Wollongong, but the Cowboys are really in good form at the moment. Jonathan Thurston, after a slowish start to the year, playing great football, as are a lot of the other players around him. I think the Dragons will get home, narrowly though, against the Cowboys in that.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to tip the Cowboys here, and I'll
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I find it hard to tip that game. I know we've got to tip one, and I think the Dragons, the home ground advantage may get them home, but it would not surprise at all to see the Cowboys win.
I'm going to have the Cowboys at the Valley. They reckon we'll get better than even money come game time on Sunday. And then Monday night, it's the Eels versus the Tigers. It's the Battle of the West. They always turn on a pretty good contest, these two teams. Parramatta, talk about a rejuvenated performance against Newcastle on Sunday. And the Tigers, of course, they've had a week off and a chance to freshen up.
Yeah, they weren't good at all, the Tigers, last weekend, and Parramatta were good on a Sunday afternoon. Daniel Mortimer, dare I say, does he have the goods of his uncle? He was outstanding the way that he set that final try up for Fui. And Parramatta could beat them on the moon, the Tigers. Their form against Parramatta is abysmal. I think it's the last 8 games or something like that Parramatta have beaten them. I think they'll make it 9. I think Parramatta will beat the Tigers.
I'm not tipping because I refuse to tip Parramatta. And I can't possibly tip the Tigers, so I'll get splinters.
Is that fair?
Is that all right?
I don't know if that's in our rule book. You've got to make a tip.
Do I? All right, the Tigers, because I never tip Parramatta. So that's the round of the NRL. Now we've got the Origin teams being named again shortly, with a few changes coming, certainly for New South Wales, you have to say. The market with Betfair at the moment on Game 2 sees the Blues at 2.10, they're outsiders, against Queensland at $1.83, and the series betting sees the Maroons all the way into about $1.21 after they've taken the 1-0 advantage. So can we turn the tables, the Blues?
Of course we can. I mean, I think New South Wales played very well in that first game, taking into consideration there were so many debutants. The momentum changed after that Hayne try didn't go their way. Queensland machine clicked into gear. There is that other argument that Queensland turned off the gas when they were so far in front, and that gave Parramatta, New South Wales rather, the opportunity to come back. But no, they definitely can. They've got a lot of good footy players. I'm just interested to see whether they'll bring Jared Mullen in some way into this game, because his form over the past few weeks has been compelling.
I don't think they can. I think a couple of those tries they scored in the second half were fluky tries coming off kicks. I think that maybe the scoreline might have flattered New South Wales, and they've got to improve 1,000 miles to beat Queensland. That's how it stands at the moment. Now, don't forget the in-play betting with Betfair too. How about this last week? 12 all Newcastle Parramatta. The Knights on the attack towards the back end of the game. You could get $12 about a Parramatta victory in the run. And a couple of Betfair punters did get a little slice of the $12, and they were happy with themselves. What about that for value? Unparalleled value, Timmy.
Yeah, well, that was a game where I don't think you could have predicted the finish, could you? But it may be a sign of the times for Parramatta. We've mentioned it before in the preview that Daniel Anderson is a winner everywhere he's gone as a coach. He started at Parramatta, and I think that he'll get them. Shane Shackleton's just signed on for 3 years for Parramatta. That's a signing that's happened during the week. Yeah. They could turn into a really good football team in the next few years.
Oh, there you go. All right, Betfair.com's the place to go for all the best prices on the NRL, the Origin. We've got the Premiership markets up, and all the sports, of course. Timmy, have a good weekend, mate.
Yeah, hot chocolate, keep warm and enjoy the footy.